George, the first Omen.
Not the last.
Not the last. I've been calling it the last Omen in my head for a while, but it's definitely the first.
Yes.
Prequel to the original Omen from 1970, I think it's seven. A huge film for that time. I think it might have been the highest grossing film of that year, but don't quote me on it.
Post-Exorcist horror boom.
100%, yeah. The creepy church horror spawned two sequels, which I haven't seen, and then a 2006 remake, which is very much a shot-for-shot remake, which came out on the 6th of the 6th of...
The
2006.
Yeah.
So The Omen is... Have you not seen any Omens?
Not seen any Omens.
Yeah, I remember watching the original Omen when I was young, far too young, and like not being that scared by it. And then I watched the 2006 one, and it kind of never really impacted me. This is very similar structurally in the opening to Immaculate. An American woman comes to Italy to make her vows and join a nunnery. It's Immaculate. And stuff goes wrong. It's very creepy. That's Immaculate, but
just been slightly beaten to the punch.
Yeah. So prequel to Omens. This is set years before.
Question.
Yes.
So when you say it's a prequel, are they keeping it in the same universe?
This
as the
is
first
in the
one?
same universe as Omen 1977 or 6, whenever it was. So Margaret, played by Nell Tiger-Free, meets up with you got Bill Nye in this,
right? Sure.
Being nice and creepy. You got Ralph Ineson, who I send the main app, a wonderfully gravelly. Tortured voice. He does lots of exposition in this, talking about God and the thing and blah blah. And Charles Dance in a scene.
Oh yeah,
great Charles Dance. Anyway, sorry. Margaret comes to Rome in the 1970s and goes to join a nunnery. She's greeted by Bill Nye, who's a long friend of hers. And there's this huge little political unrest in Rome because they've got workers protesting for working rights, pay and conditions. But similarly, this protest has become, for young people, a larger conversation about anti-establishment, the money that's allocated towards the church in this. And there's this huge sense that the modern young people are becoming disaffected with the church. People are not looking to religion to solve their problems. Everything is sort of shifting away from God. And there's this hope that, Margaret, who's very young, who's going to join this nunnery, can maybe help bridge this gap. It can bring a new lease of life to the religion and sort of, thing. I always lose my way with religion. I'm like, because that's important for
people.
Them. She joins a nunnery, which is only for women and young girls. Adorable little Italian girls singing and dancing in the thing. All of that.
But little did they know it was going to be.
It was an omen. So one of the girls there's girls of all ages from very young to much older till 18, and it's a kind of place where if women for whatever reason are going to have a child, they can come to the nunnery and they can be pregnant and have that child in a safe space for women. So Margaret is teaching and learning Italian with the girls, and it's all very happy, and she's connecting with God. There is one girl who is locked away in a room and is not allowed to interact with the other. Well, not locked away, she's held in a room and is only allowed up very selectively because she's had problems where she's bitten other children and been very violent. Her name is Carlita, and there seems to be a problem with Carlita. And also, Margaret is also...
How do you solve a problem like Carlita?
Literally.
Because they're at a nunnery.
Yeah, totally. And she sort of takes a likening to Carlita and is like, why is she being locked away? Clearly, like, if you put someone in a prison, they become a prisoner, all that kind of logic. But very creepy things start happening. So here's the thing with the first Omen. My friend Horror Amy, who I see a lot of horror with, we see lots of horror films together, and she'd heard that this was all right, quite gory, pretty punchy. And my main thing is that this is a scary film. This is much scarier than the other horror that I've seen recently relating to Immaculate and the first Omen.
Okay,
this is
and the Late Night with the Devil is scarier than that.
Yeah, scarier with Late Night with the Devil. I think Late Night with the Devil is a better film, but I was surprised by how scary I was. We both have watched a lot of horror. She literally works in horror, and we were both sitting, I'm so pleased to say, for I think 2 or 3 moments in this film, sitting on our seats, I was watching through my hands, and it made me jump out of my chair with genuine fear, which is really great to see. And it's got that, there's one scene, there's many scenes, but there's one in particular which had that really great feeling of that horror of when you're like a sleep paralysis, where I can, thing's being played out in front of me, it's coming towards me, I can't move, I'm stuck. I know it's going to be terrifying, and then it is, and it's great. And for the first half of this film, I was like, God, these guys really are understanding how to do great horror. I'm so relieved that this is scary and it's impactful. Like that, really good jump scares. I should say it's directed by Arkasha Stevenson. And then we've got this other element which has to become very plotty because what it does in the second half is it has to prequel The Omen. And I sort of found myself having a great time with it, and every time there was a scare, I was really entertained and really scared, and I got, oh, this is really good fun. I want to see what they can keep going and where they can take it. And it's more that the second half becomes very plotty and bogged down with setting up the whole process of we need to someone above. So I should explain the premise of The Omen really for people who don't know. The Omen is the Antichrist, the son of the devil. It's this idea that at once in the original film, this man's child was swapped at birth to the son of a jackal and the devil, and this child bears the marker 666 on the back of its skull, and it will bring upon the wrath of the world, and he will do the devil's bidding, which is, important for people who care about that kind of thing. And so the child is like cursed, and people sacrifice themselves on behalf of this child. There's almost like a final destination element to it, where like bad things happen around the Omen. There are various demons expressed as people that will do the devil's bidding. And so this is about the church is losing its faith in the ability for people to be drawn to it for religious reasons. There is a twisted version of the church that thinks if we can create a demon, an omen, a bad relic that forces people to remember that they need to fear God, this will bring people back to the church. There's like a bag sect of the religion. So they are you get the idea that they are using the devil to artificially inseminate women to create this first version of an antichrist that can be born. There was a particular image in this that I thought was, this wasn't the scariest scene, but it was an image of sort of like something coming from within, very immaculate, something coming from within that shouldn't be. And it looks right down the eye of the storm, and you see something coming out. Oh, that's my door.
You see something.
And you see something coming from a woman, and it was just burnt into my retinas. Brilliant. So as we move on to the second half of the film, unfortunately, I felt like we had to shovel in so much exposition to get right at the very end to the first Omen. And while it was nightmarish and horrible, I was less interested. I actually thought, can we sack off the Omen stuff? I'd quite like you guys to just keep scaring me in a creepy.
Why can't they have it as a standalone? Or just like, surely I thought, because also if this film was a success, haven't they just painted themselves into a corner where the next film can't be the next film because the next film is the original Omen?
Well, that's the thing. They had a sort of finale which sets up Omen, and I was sort of less interested in it. And then I think they had a scene which I think sets up a sequel to the prequel, which just didn't interest me.
Right.
I would have actually just quite... look, you're doing cliche creepy nun goes to Rome for creepy religious stuff. You're already doing that cliche, you got creepy young girls. Just do a scary film. You've done really good scares. Would have happily had that. Just got a bit plotty.
Also, The Omen, although a known horror title, is not... No one's walking around with a deep connection to that film that came out nearly 50 years ago.
Totally. So at the end, there's a lot of... They bring up sort of the actors' faces and the things, and I'm like, yes, I remember
like Gregory Peck was in it.
Literally, they've got Gregory Peck's photograph because a baby will be, taken to this. And I almost forgot that it was an Omen film, because it was scary enough in its own right.
Yeah, they didn't need to do it. No one cares about the Omen that much.
I wish when they were making it, they thought, this is really good. Let's sack off the Omen. Let's sack off the Omen stuff. Just call it...
They could have just called it the first Omen, couldn't they?
What do you mean?
I mean, maybe I haven't seen
Could have not called it the first.
They still could have called it that, couldn't they?
Yeah, you could. It could have taken the concept.
Yeah.
But it just got slightly lopsided towards the end.
Yeah.
But one of the scariest horror films I've seen in a long time in cinema.
Okay,
so
great.
if you're looking for a good scare, there's definitely something to be found.
Right, that's what I was going to ask. Of the three that we've just talked about in the past few weeks, that and Immaculate Late Night with
Please
the
go
Devil.
check out my
Because
reviews
I
of
have a
this.
spooky group as well. I have some spooky friends. I'm thinking, would that be the first one I should go to then?
I think if you're looking to really sit there and be scared in the cinema, I would say you're best preserving that horror experience in the cinema with the first Omen.
Okay.
And then I think the other two are not as scary. Do you know what? Funnily enough, I was really taken aback by how violent and gory Immaculate was, but actually having seen this, it almost makes Immaculate look a bit soft.
Oh, wow.
But funnily enough, this is a 15, Immaculate was an 18, so I've got no idea, having seen two films very recently, what makes one an 18 and the other a 15.
Is it to do with like sexual violence and to do with like...
There's that. There's totally that in here. There's a scene when, I'm not going to tell you, but it's quite horrifying. If you are triggered by like the image of the devil like reaping havoc on people, it's really really out there and bloody and gory, and there's just one shot in particular just totally burnt itself into my eyes. But both of us came out of it going solid. We were both genuinely scared in that cinema, jumping out of our seats, which is really fun to get that when I think if you're watching too much horror, you become a little bit too oversensitized to the horror moves that it's taking. But I was very impressed with its scare factor. Could have sacked off all the Omen stuff.
That was the first Omen there that James reviewed. If you've seen the first Omen and want to let us know your thoughts on it, at hello@popkitchenpodcast.com. We'd love to hear it. Those are our 2 little bonus reviews this week, Scoop and the first Omen. Again, if you haven't listened to the main show this week, episode 123, we reviewed Civil War and Ripley, the new TV series.
Ripley's great, by the way.
Ripley's great. Look forward to hearing your thoughts on all of this. And as ever, guys, just have a good week.
Have a good
Look
week.
after yourself.
Have a good weekend.
We're getting through the year now.
New episodes of Pulp Kitchen every Wednesday.
Exactly. Enjoy the springtime.
Oh, it's spring.
Enjoy
Clock's
the
gone back.
extra light.
Fantastic.
What a great thing. Get out there, but also go to the cinema and see things as well.
Yeah. Lots of fun films coming out soon. Stay tuned. See you next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.